the last fireside chat, and my partner in crime, Ņikita Kazakevičs, around. Ah, yes, I'm blinded by this light in a way. So a round of applause. You've seen Ņikita earlier. Please, I hope you saved some energy from that bombastic panel for this chat as well.
I did, thanks. I'm actually quite an introvert, but for these kind of spotlight events, I generate enough energy to perform, yes.
It's like perpetuum mobile, yes, I wish I had that, as I mentioned already. So for those of you who have joined just now, Ņikita Kazakevičs is from Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, and he leads, again, I will repeat, my favorite department by far, that's Technology and Innovation Department, where the magic happens, right. So, Ņikita. We've been also familiar for a few years, right? But then, those people who don't know you, and if they stalk you on social media, which I didn't do, maybe not, they will see that your career took a very interesting path at some point. So, once upon a time, a person would see from the side that you were doing a lot of entrepreneurial gigs, and you were into the startup epicenter, right? You were with the Startup Weekend, Startup Grind, whatnot, both in Latvia and I think Denmark as well, where you studied. And then, 7, I believe, years ago, you joined Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, which is LIA. So, how come, and why, and how do you combine the two worlds? Because to my best knowledge, you also are still doing a lot of that startup work.
Thanks for putting
Are you one person, or are there many?
No, I definitely have many personalities, but still being one person. But as you rightly mentioned, if you stalk me on LinkedIn, I've been active on startup world in Denmark, then in Sweden, and then came back to Latvia. From the year when I came back from Sweden to Latvia, so I've been working on a startup for a year. I failed 3 times already miserably, not getting the product market fit for the product or a service that I was building with my team. It was quite a coincidence for me to join Jelgava Business Incubator. So that's my first job within the Investment and Development Agency. And since I had the opportunity and I had the experience from being a startup within the business incubator and the accelerator, and then in Sweden, I was partially managing the Sub 46, maybe you heard about them, in Sweden, just one of the branch, not the whole thing. So I had the experience from both sides, and the business incubators were just starting. So they didn't, I mean, obviously they existed, but the LIA incubators didn't exist. And I knew exactly what has to be done. Exactly, I had a plan, I had an understanding what has to be done in Latvia for those incubators to prosper. And I thought, okay, so the startup failed miserably, and this is the opportunity for me to put everything what I've learned so far into practice, both mission-oriented for the Latvia, but then at the same time to build the necessary community and network for my pragmatic reasons, because I still need to learn, because the deep tech world and actually the newer science is where I had most of the products that I've been building, and I feel I need more knowledge and more experience to understand how and what should be the plan for my next venture.
Right. And I'll grab you by the phrase that you knew exactly what needs to be done. I love it. You know why? Well, I also worked in LIA, right? For 3 years, trying to kick off the startup movement, so to say. And I remember my sentiment when I joined LIA, when I also thought I know exactly how things should be, and I'm gonna do it. And then you join the government sector, and this is my experience, and the first thing which happens to you, you meet amazing people who are now your colleagues, and then the second thing which hits you in the face is, oh, you can't do that, oh, this is not allowed, oh, this is not part of the budget, not part of the project, and then it's like, sometimes it felt like a very sad place in a way, because you had to kind of fight through the system to be able to do something good, right? So can you comment on that? How is it to be part of a government agency where a lot of people have great intentions, but there's also this, I'm not saying box where you would be placed into, but yeah, a system, a framework, right? And you don't just go and do a revolution just there all alone, right? So yeah, how does it for you?
Exactly. So the first 4 years within LIA, I've been running the business incubator, and since it was in Jelgava, and I had a carte blanche from the management to do whatever I want, in a sense, because maybe I had, the clearest vision, and then so the incubator I was managing was a pilot or a testing ground for all the future, activity sections.
There was Jelgava?
Yeah,
Jelgava. Mm-hmm.
Educational models and so on. So basically, I had a carte blanche to test. Obviously, the system and bureaucracy, it's all in there still. But it was quite easy, to be honest, to make my way, because of the management, very understandable. And then I was able to scale it, if you can use the word scaling on a national level, but basically, yes, to scale it to the other incubators. So that was very gratifying. It was very nice. Many stressful nights still, but you see the results. And then I decided to switch to do another job, because I'm primarily motivated by the delta between how things are and how I think things should be. And the bigger gap, the bigger motivation there is. And then at the business incubators, I believe it was, not that much left to my vision to be complete. And I decided, I lost the motivation in a sense, and I had to, change it. And then being in Riga here, it's a completely different world. It's, many more responsibilities at Tesla, but still, I see the delta. It's big now, it's a big delta from how I think that the processes should work. But then there's a new reality, and I'm not sure whether I like it or not, but I change as well, kind of adapt. I'm not sure still whether it's a good or a bad thing, but I'm learning, so that's a good thing anyway. And at the very beginning, you mentioned, that the governmental organizations have to be well aware of the startup way. What I think for us to work on a more productive level is that startups have to understand the government way. So we have a common ground for discussion. Because otherwise, I'm not saying I understand the startup way, but I think an okay understanding, and still they have the understanding from the startups have to be in place as well. So we could find the right way and the right equilibrium for us to achieve our dreams.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's a two-way street. I should amend my slide. Yeah, for sure. Because coming from the startup ecosystem, we oftentimes put our needs out first, right? But we don't necessarily often care to listen to the feedback or hear what the other side has to say. Yeah.
Because the bureaucracy has this very negative connotation, right? When you say bureaucracy, and it still is for me as well. But this is how things are, and I mean, the change is always in the process. So it changes bit by bit. Everything is getting more digital, so that's a good thing. But still, to play productively on the same ground, we both have to have a necessary understanding.
Right. Okay, so when you are looking back at your life, I mean, still so long life, such a long life is ahead of both of us. I hope so, right? But when you look back, what would you say were maybe your lowest and highest moments, professionally speaking? Not necessarily Leah, but I mean, you mentioned you failed miserably 3 times with startups, and maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe you see it as a good thing. I'm not sure. So I would like you to comment on that. Plus, maybe elaborate if there is anything, if you were given a chance, you would do differently, or you would do a redo. Probably it's a question about regrets in a way, right?
It's a great question, and I'm happy to share it with you. The lowest point of my life has been recently, and it's not that professionally connected. I went through a light clinical depression while managing a team of 50 people. So, I'm out, I hope so. And I'm not planning to go back, but that was the lowest point. And actually, the worst part of it is that I felt the responsibility to be all the time smiling and productive and emotional. You're a CEO, Chief Emotional Officer. So this is engraved within my brain that I have to bring emotion to the team. And that was unbelievably painful to smile and to try to boost the energy of the team while being in a very dark place. And that's the regret, that I should trusted more in my team, and I should maybe told them, I don't know still, but they would support me. I know that. And probably they don't even require this kind of all the time motivation, me smiling, giving high fives. Probably they don't need it all the time, And maybe for that period of time, I wouldn't feel at least that kind of pressure of myself, responsibility that I put myself on myself.
Do you think this is something startup founders could also be struggling with a lot? Because I've been in those shoes as well. As a leader of a team, you feel obliged to set the mood, to set the vibe in the team, right? I mean, it's a pressure on your shoulders that you get everyone, excited and motivated, and you don't always share this burden with others. You think it's your job, right? Do you think startup founders could relate to that? Well, you are also a founder.
Definitely, and I think what startup founders and leaders, team managers could relate is what you mentioned in a conversation with Tal. It's a very lonely place. It's honestly a very lonely place to manage a team or run a startup when you're a leader, the co-founder or a CEO. It's a very lonely team, very lonely place, and not so many people around or your team will understand that. And that's where community comes in. Community of not only like-minded, but people in the same situation, where you can be maybe a crybaby a little, but that could help because, you mentioned you struggled with that as well, and I believe many people struggle with the similar challenges here as well. But it's a stigma to share this, kind of weakness, but definitely sharing even the dark moments are, more powerful than we think.
I appreciate you sharing this. And you know what? Without darkness, there is no light, they say. And it makes perfect sense, right? Earlier in the panel, you also, when we talked about missions, right, and I think Lena was the one who asked, right, everyone to share what mission they are on, and then you said, maybe it was a risky move, but you said about the unicorn, right? So can you maybe comment on that? Was that you being caught in the moment, or Again, this question, what do you wish for yourself, for Latvia, for startup ecosystem? A unicorn made by you?
Oh, no, it wasn't about my unicorn. No, it wasn't about me. Well, no.
Oh, who knows?
No, I wasn't caught in the moment. I've been thinking about it for some time already. What I see are many beautiful minds in here and in Latvia, and young entrepreneurs, experienced entrepreneurs working on their ideas, both in startups and then more specifically deep tech startups. And I see how much effort is put there and how many brilliant minds we have, and the sparkling eyes, sparkling, that's not a word, no, spark in the eyes. And I want the world to know that. And my definite objective by running the innovation technology department, what we can impact is deep tech development. Startup, like all in all, startup development, we have the priorities to focus on the scientifically intensive enterprises as well. And I believe that will be, the huge shout out to all the scientists, all in Latvia, all the scientists, all the entrepreneurs, that Latvia can make it, and can make it in the tough spot, the deep tech, where you have the cycle of development is 3 times more prolonged than in digital startups or something similar. That's my deep belief that we have the potential, and we have to make Latvia known for not only unicorns per se, but the deep tech unicorn.
Hear, hear. I love deep tech too. So on this note, I will say huge thank you and a round of applause for Ņikita.
Thank you.